Here too. All right, here we are. So probably many of you are going to go out later. So before you have some fun, now that it's weekend, let us get into our practice and work. All right. Well, here we are. Let's start. Awesome. So the first passage we're going to have is titled Principled Negotiation. We're going to see what secrets does this topic is reserving for us. All right, there you are. So I just pasted to the chat box, by the way, so that all of you can read it. And please look at my screen. You're going to have your 45 seconds to do so. Please start reading now. There you are. Great. So now let us listen to the lecture on the same topic. All right. Let's go. Let us listen.
Now, listen to a lecture on this topic in a business class.
You can see the effects of principled negotiation right at this university, actually. We have, a private company running our cafeteria, right? The university pays the company to buy food, hire employees, and serve meals to the students. When they drafted the contract outlining their expectations, the university and the food service company had to think about their future together and how they could keep students happy. Only if the students were satisfied would the relationship be able to continue smoothly. That was the common goal. So, at the company's request, the university agreed to fund training the cafeteria workers, precisely because they saw that training as being in the best interest of the students, even if the direct benefit was for the food service employees, and it was coming out of the university's pocket. And at the same time, the food service provider agreed to buy and serve only organic foods, ingredients that cost more but are healthier for student diners. If the food service had refused to buy those higher quality ingredients, it's more likely that students would have passed on meal plans, or worse, requested the university find a different service. Obviously, the company'd want to avoid that. In the long run, these kinds of decisions were in line with everybody's goals, especially you, the students.
Using the example of the university cafeteria, explain what is meant by principled negotiation.
Okay. Oh, somebody left the meeting. I guess, well, he or she had some trouble. Well, anyways, I hope she's going to come back. Well, let us start now with the 30 seconds of preparation for your responses, okay, dear students? And, well, please start preparing your responses for this question now. There you are. Okay, so Jorge, please, you're going to help me start in this round, okay? So please look at my screen and start please responding to this question now.
In the reading passage, we've been immersed in the topic of principal negotiation, which is a type of negotiation in which you don't seek to only win or to only lose, in which the two parties they work through a common objective. Now, likewise in the listening passage, it's about an example of principle of negotiation that is between the cafeteria and the school that serves the food, where for example, they pay to improve the employees and the service to keep the students happy. On the other hand, the cafeteria also agrees to start serving organic food in order to keep the students happy, with the common goal being that the students have to keep being happy or to be satisfied with the service in order to then continue buying in the cafeteria and also buying the meal plans that the school offers. That'll be it.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much for it. Okay, and now Adriana, please, we're going to finalize this round, okay? Given that nobody else is here, let's continue with you, all right? So please, dear Adriana, start responding to this question now.
Okay, regarding to the passage, the principal negotiation, which is the main topic, is about how when two people are in conflict and both want to win the best side for them. It's really important to both parts keep away what they really want and look what is better for both of them.
Yes, that will be it. Dear Adriana, yes?
Sorry, Carlos, I couldn't prepare it very well.
Okay. No, it's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. I understand. Thank you, Adriana. Very good. All right. Well, so what about the responses? I can say fantastic, both of you. Jorge, as always, smooth transitions, complex grammar, fantastic. And Adriana as well, very good. Even when you didn't prepare your response, as you say, well, you didn't completely prepare your response. It was fantastic. I think that, of course, if you had spoken maybe a little bit more, it would have been better, but fantastic anyways. Don't have any commentaries apart from that. All right. Let's go with one more. All right, what about this one? Pictographs. You're going to see. Here you are. Okay, so please, both of you, you have the passage right there in the chat box. And now please start reading it now. Great. As you can see, the 4 or 5 seconds have ended. Now, please, all of you, start listening to the lecture on pictographs. Let's go.
Now listen to a lecture in an art history class.
You might be surprised at how close the link between those ancient symbols and our current writing systems actually is. Let me show you some really neat examples from the Roman alphabet to illustrate. Take the letter A. It looks kind of like a triangle with 2 sticks underneath it, right? Well, those sticks used to actually be horns on a drawing of a bull. A started out as an ancient Egyptian pictograph of a bull's head. This naturally stood for the word bull or a similar creature, but over generations, the eyes and other details on the bull's head disappeared, until the head just looked like a triangle, and the horns just looked like sticks. Voila. The next example is a bit more distorted, but the letter E has a very similar story. This one started out as a stick figure, an image of a person praying. A line down the middle represented the legs, body, and head, and then 2 arms extended out on either side. But over time, the symbol was rotated. A rotation like that is pretty common historically, and a part of the image was lost. Now, the 3 horizontal strokes of the E, those are what's left of the 2 arms and the head of that person in prayer.
Using examples from the talk, explain how pictographs changed to become modern writing.
Okay. Well, a passage about a very intriguing topic, at least for people like me who have no idea about art. But nonetheless, let's continue. Okay. Please hear Jorge and Adriana. Serve yourself of this 30 seconds to prepare your responses starting now. There you are. Okay, great. Dear Adriana, could you please help me with this new round and be the first student to respond? Let us please start delivering your response now.
Regarding the listening and the passage, pictographs, as archaeological scientists said, is the basis of the modern system of writing. This is because all the graphics, graphics that the old people do are I'm sorry, Carlos, this is really hard. These kind of topics. I can prepare
Yes.
very good. I don't know what to say, sincerely.
Yes? Oh, I mean, like, you find it to be difficult, like the complexity of the passages, or what is happening?
Yes, I think that the topics are really hard, and I don't know how to make a good answer of that, and I don't know what to say. It's getting frustrating.
No, it's okay, don't worry. Well, I mean, remember it's just summarizing, so I guess the only thing that you have to exercise here is just, well, to listen and to repeat, right? To be like one of these machines that just repeat what you say, right? I mean, I guess that could be helpful. But apart from that, I also sent right to your group last time, well, a link to a scientific, I think it was a diary. Well, at least it was a scientific magazine, I think. And if you get into that website, you're going to find a lot of resources to practice this reading of academic English, and maybe that could be helpful as well. But just as a general recommendation, well, don't try to, as I say, offer, I don't know, maybe very difficult summaries, but just explain it in your words. It's not necessary to repeat the same terminology or the same grammar. With your own words, it's fantastic. As far as you, as I said, don't mention your opinion and just stay very much, stick to the topic. That's it. Right, dear Adriana? Fantastic. So please, dear Jorge, you're going to continue, right? Please start delivering your response now.
In the reading passage, we've been immersed in the topic of pictograms, which are simple pictures that represent an idea on a word that were found firstly in Mesopotamia and Egypt, but also found in Middle East, China, and Mesoamerica. They tended to represent physical objects and abstract ideas, but the moment that they started representing abstract ideas, they had to change in order to make it more more understandable. And that's where they started to become what we now have the modern writing system. Likewise, in the listening passage, we have two examples of this phenomenon, which is the letter A that used to be a pictogram to represent a bull, but in the moment that it's starting to change, they turn it around, and now we have the letter A. Now she also explained the letter E, that it used to look like or represent a person praying. Now they rotated it in order to change the meaning of the letter, and that's how we have now the letter E. That'll be it.
Oh, great, great. Thank you very much for it. Very good. So what else? I guess fantastic. I don't have any commentaries. Well, for Adriana, I think that I also offer some comments on that. But as I say, anyways, I mean, I like your responses. I think that they were great. In the past exercises, I didn't find any remarkable problems. So as I said, it's just a matter of summarizing things with your own words. All right. And I see that Sergio has also joined us. Sergio, by the way, we are practicing for the third task of the speaking section. So now that you have entered, you're going to be able to join us. All right. So let us start with another exercise. So please, dear Sergio, prepare your sheet of paper and your pencil, because we're going to be having notes. Okay, let's continue. Let me just reopen this for you to see the remaining 4 topics here. Custom. Now speaking. 3. There we are. Okay. So let's go with this one. Okay. We have not seen this one, right? Dear students, Jorge, Adriana?
No.
All
No,
right,
we
great.
didn't.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we're going to use this one. Please look at the chat box. You're going to find the new topic already pasted in there. So now, please enjoy your 45 seconds to read this passage starting now. All right, awesome. So now it's time for us to listen the lecture somebody delivered on this topic of cultural impacts of climate change. Well, striking. Let's see.
Now listen to part of a lecture from a class on ancient history.
Climate change hasn't always been seen as such a major factor on how we've progressed, how culture has developed, but more and more we're finding that it does play a major role. Let's take the example of Egypt. The country today is harshly divided between the Sahara Desert, where basically nothing grows, and the area around the Nile River Valley, which is still one of the most fertile places on the whole planet. But the thing is, we're now discovering that the landscape of Egypt was not always divided in that way. Instead, until the 4th millennium BCE, the desert of Egypt was actually a rich, prosperous area of fields and farmable meadows. There were societies living away from the Nile, successfully farming, or getting by in a place that would later be completely uninhabitable. But then, of course, the climate changed and the Sahara Desert formed. That meant people were forced to move to the Nile Valley to survive. because there were no more fields to cultivate or animals to hunt. So right, you can imagine their culture had to adapt as they moved to a new area, a new climate. But it doesn't stop there. The Nile Valley was already settled. So these newcomers fleeing the desert, they evidently fought the people already living in the valley. And we see that from the construction of these giant defensive walls for the first time in history. So right, people joined together behind these walls and formed cities to protect themselves. This was a large interaction between communities, deeply affecting the local culture. The changing landscape was at the heart of that change.
Explain how the lecturer's claims give a concrete example of climate change's effect on culture.
There you are. Great. Well, we have listened to a very striking topic, as I told you. Quite interesting perspective, right? I had never thought about it. Well, let us now start with the 30 seconds of preparation for our responses, okay? So let me just get into the chronometer. And well, all of you, please, dear students, start preparing your responses for this question now. There you are. All right, so who's going to start this one? Jorge, please, could you delight us with your response? Please start responding to the question now.
In the reading passage, we've been immersed in the cultural impact that climate change had in the world culture, due to factors like the productivity and the fertility of the soils, as well as the weather variation. This has been a phenomenon that is still studied by different types of scientists. Likewise, in the listening section, we saw some examples of how this has happened particularly in Egypt and with the Sahara Desert, where in the Sahara Desert, like nothing used to grow, and now nothing grows. However, in older times, there used to be a rich meadow with fields and where you can cultivate. Now, when that area became a desert, people had to move, and that changed the life of all the people and the culture around them. First of all, the people that live in the desert had to change, obviously, and move. And also the people that used to live in the Nile River had to start building different walls. And that's how the climate change has affected culture. That'll be it.
Great. Oh, awesome. Thank you very much, Jorge. Please, dear Adriana, could you help me with this new term? Start delivering your response for this question now.
Okay. Climate change is a phenomenon that exists forever due to the human civilization and the evolution of the human civilization. But it's not even during the past the last 8 years that has become a really major topic, because scientists and meteorologic people get to know that the climate change is affecting the fertility and the lands, and that can bring many problems to the human civilization. Also, in the listening passage, is explained that these changes have been for many years ago, and it gives us the example of the desert of Sahara that was that at the beginning was really a really good place for people to develop, but through the years it wasn't couldn't be habitated for the people.
Incredible. There you are. Fantastic, Adriana. Found it to be tremendously well. Sergio, please, Sergio, you're going to continue, okay? So please, Sergio, help me with your microphone on and start responding to this question now.
Okay, talking about this interesting topic, that is the climate change. It says that climate change, it is a modern phenomenon, and the climate change, it is very tied to cultural changes and society changes. Very professionals as archaeologists, geologists, historians, and meteorologists are cooperating and working together to investigate the repercussions of the climate change. It says that it is a major factor, how we progress as a society, and the climate change does play a major role. It puts an example that is the Egyptian culture, and it says that their climate it was divided. It wasn't divided by a desert. It was a very good climate, but as the society advanced, the climate change it divided as the Nile River and the desert, and it was a prosper, a rich area where societies were forming, and the climate changes and the desert comes and people goes near the Nile River and they fought for their lives, building very huge walls to protect themselves.
Great. Thank you very much, Sergio. There you are. So, well, let me give you some feedback, okay? So, well, for Jorge, fantastic, very good response, and also, as I say, I don't have any particular observation. I just think it was tremendously good. For Adriana, the same, tremendously good, fantastic. I'm not sure what you said that you were not finding these topics to be very much understandable. Well, you did fantastically this time. Only little observation when you say phenomenon, right? Like el fenómeno, phenomenon, right? And when you say fenómenos, like in plural, phenomena, right? You change that. Like it's like when you say, for example, how is this? Criteria, criterios, and criterion, criterio, right? Singular. But anyways, very good, Adriana. And for Sergio, as well, fantastic, tremendously good. I find that maybe the reason why you didn't have time to include all your response within the minute was because you spent too much time in the summary of the reading passage. And remember that if you're going to emphasize on one part so that you can have time to include everything within your minute, it would be on the listening part instead of the reading. So next time, please start to include a more concise and general summary of the reading passage, and to emphasize and, of course, to immerse yourself more with details and all the illustrations mentioned in the listening passage, right? But apart from that, fantastic, dear Sergio. Very good. Very much content with all of your responses, guys. Very good. Let me then continue and just, well, go next to another example and exercise. Next, well, here we are. Task number, okay. Oh, principal negotiation. We saw this one. It's this new one. We also saw this one, pictographs. But anyways. Okay, this one will be new. Altruism in animals. So, if you look at the chat box, you're going to find the new reading passage, and please start reading it now. All right, there you are, 4 or 5 seconds. 4 or 5 seconds, guys. Now let's see. What do we have here? Let's listen to the lecture on altruism in animals.
Now listen to part of a lecture on the topic you've just read about.
The idea that altruism is a uniquely human characteristic that cannot be found in nature might be popular among certain philosophers, but It really has little basis in fact. Actually, altruism is relatively common in the animal kingdom. Well, for example, in certain families of squirrels, when a predator, say like a fox, comes around, the squirrels are known to shriek out to warn their family members about the danger, even if the noise makes them targets for the predator. Similarly, when a herd of, say, wildebeests is attacked, well, stronger members of the pack will try to trample the threat rather than let the young and weak get picked off, even if this subjects them to danger. So what is the reason for all of this? Evolutionarily speaking, it seems like a puzzle, right? I mean, why would evolution favor the development of altruistic behaviors that might endanger individual life? The answer is it's a bit complicated, but essentially the answer is that by protecting the entire community, including several relatives, the altruistic animal ensures that the community's genes as a whole can still be passed on. Well, in other words, if a single squirrel dies after, say, shrieking at a fox, but the entire community is spared, well, that means that from a collective perspective, the community's fitness is increased by having altruistic behaviors associated with its members.
Using the points and examples given in the lecture, explain how altruism may be a beneficial characteristic for some animals.
Awesome. Okay. Now that we have listened to this one, please all of you, dear students, enjoy your 30 seconds in order to prepare a response for this question. All right, so please start doing so now. Great. There you are. Now it's time for you to respond, dear students. Please, dear Sergio, could you help me with this one? So please start
Sure.
responding to the question. Thank you very much. Start responding to the question now.
Regarding this topic, altruistic behavior, it is very present in the human being, and also it is present on the animal kingdom. And said that uniquely human altruistic behavior it is in the human, it is not correct. It is relatively common in animal kingdom too. There is an example: squirrels versus fox. A squirrel, when they are in danger, warned their families about the danger there is near. There is a reason, and the girl said that evolutionary speaking, it is because the animal kingdom lives in community and a collective behavior, and this behavior helps them to the life increase when this behavior exists among them and avoid the danger there is among them.
There you are. Incredible. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sergio. Fantastic. Let's continue with Jorge. Please, dear Jorge, start responding to the question now.
In the reading passage, we've been immersed in altruism in animals, which is the urge to selflessly help others, even at a personal cost, which is common in humans, but it's also been discovered that it's carried out in other species of animals. Despite the fact that logically that might affect their ability to reproduce or to carry on their genetic code. However, in the listening passage, we are presented examples of how that can help with the reproduction of a community. For example, we are presented with squirrels that have that shriek or make noises to warn other squirrels when a predator arrives, for example, a fox. And also we are presented with example that about wildebeest that decide to protect the young ones the big specimens decide to protect the young and the small specimens to avoid them dying from, for example, another species that decide to hunt them. That'll be it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much for it. Fantastic. And finally, let's close this round with our dear Adriana. Okay, so please, Adriana, start responding to the question now.
Sorry, Carlos, I couldn't prepare it. I don't know
Yes?
why I find this so difficult, these topics. I
Right.
can't. I have,
No, it's okay.
I don't know, I can do it. May I only hear for today what the guys say, please?
Oh, yeah, of course. Why not? Why not? This is your choice. Thank you very much, Adriana. No, but
Thank you.
I guess it would be actually great if you respond anyways, because even if you didn't understand the topics, of course, imagine that happens on the exam. The best response you can offer is actually valid. So you should respond anyways, even when you have not fully understood everything. What you have gathered from the audio or the reading, it is anyways useful. All right?
Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. So would you like to respond this one, or would you like maybe to start with the other one?
No, the other one, please. I want to hear
Okay.
for today, and tomorrow I
Right.
can try to practice. Thank you, Carlos.
Okay. Well, no, my pleasure. My pleasure. All right. So Sergio and Jorge. Okay, so Sergio, fantastic. I found the response to be very much compelling, well connected, and well prolific summary as well. My only observation here would be with regard to the pronunciation of the word relatively, right? Maybe relatively, relativamente, right? Like relatively, right? Relatively. It's like the accent is relative, right? Relatively. But anyways, apart from that, awesome, very good. And Jorge, any particular one, just as always, tremendously well. Okay, just fantastic, prolific. There you are. So let's go with one more. Let's see what we have here. Next. Thank you. Next, like the sun, right? All right. Control Z and Control B. So let's read this one. Particularly, at least for me, it's a very interesting topic. The decline of Greco-Roman ideals in art. Well, all of you, please start preparing your responses. Oh no, not preparing, I'm sorry. Reading the passage now. All right, well, let us listen now to a lecture on the same topic.
Now listen to part of a lecture in a class focusing on the history of modern art.
Now, scholars sometimes like to say that in the 20th century, art based on Greco-Roman ideals of beauty and physical perfection fell totally out of favor thanks to the work of pioneering critics like Roger Fry. But today, I'm going to argue that this is actually an oversimplification. Now, paintings in the 20th century certainly became more abstract than at any other time in history. But in some ways, this had nothing to do with the work of professional critics, like Roger Fry. I mean, I think it can be convincingly argued that the change in style was simply due to the invention of the camera. See, it was no longer necessary to turn to professional portrait painters to have one's picture taken. And for this reason, there was a gradual decrease in the number of students who went to painting school. It was simply no longer important to spend years mastering technical painting. And instead, it became possible to produce highly abstract works meant to express, well, ideas. However, many of these ideas still had to do with the age-old Greco-Roman ideals. For example, Manet's painting, Luncheon on the Grass, which is sometimes called the first modern painting, it actually used images originally copied from an ancient Roman coffin. Pablo Picasso, a great abstract artist, also created several paintings reacting to Greek mythology. And, to this day, advertisers and filmmakers often turn to Greco-Roman notions of beauty in order to entice audiences. In fact, many modern artists have reacted to too much abstraction in modern art and are returning to classical Greek and Roman themes in their work. So, the Greco-Roman tradition in art is far from dead.
Using the points and examples from the lecture, explain how artistic standards changed in the 20th century.
Well, intriguing, right? Very interesting topic. So please, dear students, is now our moment for preparing our responses. So please, all of you start designing them and developing them now. Okay, great. So please, well, Adriana says that she prefers to be a listener tonight. So of course, we're going to appreciate and respect that. So let's continue with Sergio, I guess. Please, dear Sergio, help me with this question. All right. So please start responding that now.
Regarding this topic about Greco-Roman ideal art, it says that European critics believe that work of this Greco-Roman painting was a pinnacle of achievement, and these are based on Greco-Roman idea of beauty. There were professional critics like Roger Fries that said that it's a very simplification of painting. Painting were more abstract, and in some ways it is says that there is nothing to do like professional critics, like Roger Fries said. There was a decrease in students in this kind of art because of the master of the painting that express ideas and feelings. There is an example of painting that says the mother painting was in grass that represent images, and Pablo Picasso created several paintings of Greek mythology, of Greco-Roman, and finally sentences that Greco-Roman painting it won't die soon.
Great, thank you very much, Sergio. Awesome. Jorge, please, we're going to finalize this one, right? So please start responding to the question now.
In the reading passage, we've been immersed in the decline of the Greco-Roman ideals in art, in how in the 20th century they changed to, they instead of representing the best physical shape, the beauty, and the best aesthetic, they passed to represent more abstract ideas or emotion, even if they were unattractive to the eye. However, in the listening, we are explaining that this is more of an oversimplification, and that the style could be changed due to the invasion of the camera, and that it became less productive to produce more realistic painting than to produce abstract thoughts or abstract painting, because there was no need to represent that beauty. and also that the Greco-Roman aesthetic or the ideal still lives in the current artistic views. Like, for example, it represents like a lot of the standards for the physical shape, and also a lot of modern paintings use or are inspired in the whole Greek aesthetic. That'll be it.
Incredible. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jorge. Well, both of you presented amazing responses. Jorge, fantastic. Sergio as well. Maybe Sergio, my recommendation still remains there. Try to spend a little bit, reduce time in the reading passage. That is to say, when you summarize it, try to reduce and to diminish the time you're spending there. And I assure you that if you make it more general, that of course you can do it, and it's actually what they are waiting for. You are going to come out with a response that includes the entire summary of the listening passage, and that is going to be super, super important. All right, and it's going to help you a lot.
Yes, what I'm trying to do it is to make a little summary, like a lead before I start talking about the rest, right? I don't
Yes.
know if
Yes.
it is a correct way to do it, or just mention like a little bit of the reading and then speak about the conversation.
Yeah. Let me here, for example, remember you the template. Well, basically, what I would suggest would be, let's say, to start this month, right? To begin with, oh, so sorry. This is the third. It would be something like this. In the reading passage, we've been immersed into the topic of, and here you mentioned the overall idea, right? For example, the last illustration you had, we've been immersed into the topic of the decline of Greco-Roman ideals, right? In beauty. So in that sense, you would say, and here's where you summarize, right? That topic, the reading passage, you would say, the reading passage said that these ideas have been fallen down in continuity, excuse me, because nowadays artists do not actually conceive beauty with regard to Greco-Roman ideals. And after you finalize, as you can see, a very concise and general summary of the reading passage, without even mentioning a lot of details or specific examples from that part, then you move on to a second step that would be something like likewise in the listening passage, right? And here you summarize what the professor said in his lecture, something like, likewise, in the listening passage, we have seen a professor that discusses that such an idea is not actually accurate, right? Because that was the case in this last example. The professor said, yes, well, I mean, Greco-Roman ideals have brought a great controversy into scholar discussion, but nonetheless, they are used nowadays. And here you come up and you continue with the third and the fourth step. And the third and the fourth step are basically the continuity of the summary you started of the listening section in the second step, but here you develop and you continue, let's say, discussing the points made by the professor in the lecture. For example, if you notice, it is that in every single lecture, the professor makes 2 points. Normally, I mean, of course, they can make more, but what constantly and frequently happens is that the professor mentions 2 different points in the lecture. So here, what I mean by this third and fourth step is basically to make sure that you include those points as you have done, Sergio, right? But I noticed that you do it. So that is fantastic. So if you notice here, the only thing you have to change in the way you're responding would be to make it more general and concise in the reading passage. That would be the first step, because as I say, I don't think that it is necessary to implement a very detailed and specific response of that step into this response, but you can actually take it very generally, right? Because it's not that important. And then to move on directly to a lecture, to summarize it more, and to be more, as I say, consistent and detailed with regard to that particular question, right? Is that understandable? Maybe I could clarify something there, Sergio?
No, it is very clear. So I have to practice my notes to have more ability to talk with the notes with me, right?
Yeah, certainly. We can always improve in that aspect, but fantastic, Sergio. Incredible. Thank you very much. Let us go and practice one more before you go, dear students. I want to send you home. Well, I guess we're going to go out, right? Friday. But anyways, I just want to finish this class with one more. So please, let us see what we have here. Let's see the last passage. And this is going to be about hypnotherapy, all right? Interesting topic for those of you who are interested in philosophy and psychology, I guess. So please, there you have it, Control B. And well, there you are with the reading passage. Please start reading at your students now. All right, there you are, 4 or 5 seconds. Now, please, your students start listening to the lecture on this topic. And now.
Now listen to part of a lecture from a psychology class.
Hypnosis is controversial for several reasons. First, not everyone can actually be hypnotized. I mean to say, only certain types of people are able to fall completely under the power of a hypnotist's suggestions. But at the same time, a lot of patients are eager to please their therapists. So for this reason, patients might be likely to pretend to be hypnotized, when in reality, they're wildly improvising. That means hypnotherapy leads to false positives, times when patients exaggerate the effects. People make up memories, totally false information that they otherwise wouldn't have said, just so in order to make it seem like the hypnotism is working. And it gets worse. Sometimes hypnosis might create false psychological problems. For example, these days, a lot of people question whether split personality disorder, or as it's actually called, dissociative identity disorder, whether this disease in which people have multiple personalities, it's questioned whether this is a disease that is found in nature or whether psychiatrists themselves basically created the disorder. It's thought that when psychiatrists questioned patients suffering from trauma and used hypnosis, they sometimes bombarded them with leading questions. Then these questions basically implanted the idea of split personalities where it didn't even exist before. No one stopped to think that the hypnosis might only reinforce made-up behavior by giving patients an excuse, a scapegoat. Many times, for example, people claim to have been suffering from dissociative identity disorder to avoid being held liable in court for crimes allegedly committed by their other personalities.
Using the points and examples given in the lecture, explain why hypnotherapy has proven to be a controversial form of treatment.
Well, there you are. All of you, please start preparing your responses now. There you are. Please here, Jorge, help me with your response starting now.
In the reading passage, we've been immersed in hypnotherapy, which is the use of hypnosis in the clinical context, which involves coaxing the patient into a dreamlike state and then encourage them to follow the orders of a clinician. And in that way, they can express their emotions or the deepest memories in a more efficient way. Now, likewise, in the listening passage, we are known that this therapy or this form of therapy is kind of controversial, and it has been proved that it can have negative effects. Like, for example, it can lead to false positives with people making up information or creating false information while they are in the hypnotic state. And it can also create false psychological problems where people can pretend that they have multiple personality disorders so that they can avoid being found liable of a crime, for example, in court. that'll be it.
Oh, incredible. Thank you very much, Jorge. And finally, please, our dear Sergio. Dear Sergio, please start responding to the question now.
Regarding this topic about hypnotherapy, hypnotherapy has a clinical use to coax patients into a dreamlike state that is called hypnosis. And this is for help several patients. And it is also very controversial because not everyone can hypnotize well and do the complete process. Patients pretend to be hypnotized, and those are maybe, in several cases, false positives. They give false information and create dreams that and information that they never have. The patients never have that information and those dreams. And then they create false psychological disorders and very dangerous disease. Doctors lead questions to implant ideas that never been there before, and this may cause dissociation and several personalities on the patients.
Great, there you are. Now you can see, right, that you managed to include it. Very good, fantastic, dear Sergio. All right, dear Adriana, would you like to respond maybe to this final question? No? Okay, oh, it's fine, don't worry. All right, fantastic. So thank you very much, guys. We're gonna stop the class here, but anyways, it was fantastic. Have a gift for you, by the way. For you. I was working on this earlier. It's a summary of what we have been discussing and additional materials for you to practice, all right? Just in case you wanted to have them. Well, thank you very much for your presence. Don't go, I have to take your assistance. And please help me with the traditional poll that we always feel, and that well, helps me very much when you feel it positively, all right? But thank you very much, guys. Go to your screen, please. And now I take your assistance. All right, are we sheets? Okay, so here we have Ramirez Camila. Okay, Mayra Alejandra. Salguero Fabiana. Quiroga Adriana.
I'm here.
Thank you very much, Adriana. What about Zúñiga Sergio?
Present.
Thank you very much, dear Sergio. What about Jose Miguel? Well, here, Alondra Lisette, Anaí Estefania, and finally, Jorge Alberto.
Present.
Thank you very much, Jorge. Well, incredible. It was a fantastic class. Thank you, dear students, for your responses. See you next week in order to continue with more of these classes. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. All right. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much. See you later.
Have a nice weekend, Carlos. See you on Monday.
Thank you very much.